I feel like we all look at forgiveness as all or nothing. Yet you presented, kind of a different view of how forgiveness can work in different stages. So can you elaborate a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I want to see if I can actually show the graphics so people can see it, because I think that really, really helps people. I'm just bringing it up. Give me 1 second. So, with forgiveness being such an important quality, because we need to learn to let go, this is a chart that I have in the book.
Mm-hmm.
So these are the stages of forgiveness. You have zero forgiveness, you have conditional, transformational, and then unconditional. So the problem is that usually we think we either forgive someone or we don't forgive them. We think it has to be black and white, binary. We forgive them or we don't forgive them. That's not true, because things are much more gray and in shades of progression. So one of the ways you may say you forgive someone is if they forgive you back. That's conditional forgiveness. The challenge with this type of forgiveness, if they say sorry to you, the challenge with that type of forgiveness is someone may never say sorry to you. Especially in today's world, ghosting has become so normal. We don't get reasons for why people stop talking to us. People don't explain themselves anymore. And by the way, I'm not agreeing with any of that. But if you're always wishing and waiting and wanting that apology, you may never get it. And so understanding to get to transformational forgiveness, which is like, let me realize that I want to be a happy person. I want to be a joyous person. And therefore I have to forgive for my own state of mind. I'm not forgiving because they did the right thing. I'm not forgiving because they're the perfect person. I'm not forgiving because I don't believe they made a mistake. I'm forgiving because I deserve better. I deserve for myself. And that's why we try and rise. And unconditional forgiveness is like, I forgive you completely, and we may never get there. And that's the we think we either have to get there or we hate the person. And the truth is the answer's somewhere in the middle. So when you see your mind trying to go towards extremes, your mind's trying to make it simple, but actually it turns out to be more difficult, because the simplicity is actually found in the middle.
I love that concept. Okay, I have a quote. Okay, I'm quoting you right now. Are you ready? Okay.
Yeah.
This one, I honestly went over it a few times. So, you wrote, most people are accustomed to looking for answers. Monks focus on questions. I had to read it so many times because it completely changed the way I look at certain, I mean, on everything, right? On like why I do the things that I do. And, also when you talked about intention and fear, like all that one sentence kind of encompassed all of that for me. So can you give a simple example? Because you did give it in a book. You broke down just like an inner monologue that will show an example of the questions that you would ask yourself to try to understand the intention behind an action.
Yeah, absolutely. So that principle comes about from the fact that most of us always say, well, like, why is this happening to me? What's going on right now? Why didn't this happen? None of those are questions. They're all rhetorical questions, and they're demands. And they're actually just seeking an answer without actually deeply asking a question. Where monks believe that if you sincerely, genuinely ask a question, the universe will give it to you. In the same way as Valeria, the way you're asking questions today, you're asking them in a genuine way, in a sincere way, in a wonderful way. And so I feel inspired to answer your questions. But if you were like, Jay, come on, now just tell me, like, why is this happening? If you did that to me, like, I'd be so scared. And we do that to ourselves. We talk to ourselves like that. And we demand answers. And we demand answers without discovering what the right question to ask is. So my example that I love, that I give, and there's many examples in the book, this is my favorite one, where questions are really powerful, is when it comes to fear. And I'll give you one that I actually experienced in COVID, which is a similar example. And if you like the one in the book, you can share that, Valerie, too. But this is more of a current example. So when COVID came in, me and my wife were scared if something happened to our parents, because our parents live in London. So we were scared. We were like, what if something happens to them? Now that's a worry, that's a fear. You're trying to figure out what's the answer, what do I do?
Definitely. Again, brings back the power to us rather than, creating this helplessness that a
Yeah.
lot of us felt during, this time because we didn't ask the questions, right? We just wanted answers. We wanted an action plan right now. So I love that, the way of just viewing and going through life with the questions. I truly appreciated that. And okay, purpose. Purpose is a big one. I can tell you, Jay, that I am by no means a spiritual leader of some kind, but I do talk a lot about, finding your purpose and realizing it. And I'm myself, right? I mean, still trying to figure it out, and it's kind of a journey. But I loved how you kind of provided a little bit of a formula to finding a purpose, and with even, mentioning your dharma. So, can you please talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, absolutely. So, dharma is a Sanskrit word and has many, many meanings and many different translations. But the one that I loved the most was when it's transferred to purpose. And it really means your inherent purpose, something that's natural to you. And when I looked into it, and to simplify it for this, in the book, I have a full 20 question way of finding your purpose and understanding your strengths. But to simplify it, dharma or purpose equals passion plus strengths plus compassion. What do you love and enjoy? What are you naturally talented at, gifted at, and have an expertise in? And how do you serve the world with it? How do you do something with it that helps other people? So, passion, strengths, and compassion. And when you find that synergy between the three, that's where you find your purpose. And by the way, all three of these can be entryways to purpose. So, your passion. You may say, Jay, I don't know what I'm passionate about. So then the question is, what are you interested in or curious about? What is it that just you get so interested in? You want to read every book, you want to listen to that documentary, you want to watch that podcast. What is it? What are you curious about? You may say, Jay, I can't figure that out. It's not helping. All right, let's try to do it through your strengths. What are you naturally? What are you skilled at? What do you do that when you do it, people say to you, oh, that was really good. That party you organized was amazing. Or that event you did, that was beautiful. You have an amazing voice. You planned this well. What is it that you're hearing in the feedback? And the third and final way is through compassion. What pain have you been through that you never want someone to go through again? Or if they go through it, you want to help them through it. What is that pain? That's compassion. That can lead to your purpose. That can lead to some incredible work because you realize how much pain it caused you and how much you want to relieve the suffering of others. So that is purpose, and that's how it can be found.
And I think it's so important to mention that, I myself, like I mentioned, I'm still on the journey of finding my purpose. And slowly, as you get older, as you gain experience, as you have a better understanding of who you are, you understand your strengths and, what you want to serve the world with and all these other things. So I just think that it's so important to mention that it's a journey to get there. I think that so many of us, as the younger generation, they feel that pressure of just knowing their purpose and just getting it.
Yeah.
And I think it's unrealistic when you are not at a place where you understand all of it from the inside. So
Well
thank
said.
you. I love that. I love that you broke it down to these three things, because I think that, you can start with any of them. So I think that's important to the audience that watches this. And then I had such a good time speaking to you. Honestly, it was amazing. I have one last question, because I don't know if I think it's going to be a tough one, but if we had to take one thing away from Think Like a Monk, what would it be?
That is a very good question. That is a very good question. I would say, if you had to take one thing away from Think Like a Monk, what would it be? I would say that it would be the monk method, which is right at the end, and it is the meditation practice with breath work, visualization, and mantra. And if you practice that, then you will be able to create your own well-being path. And I think that if we reclaim our well-being, if we take the responsibility for how we can take care of our minds and bodies, then that will be incredible in the world right now. And so I really hope, I know that people are struggling with anxiety right now. I know that people are worrying right now and negativity right now. I think the monk method in the book can give people a really good pathway.
Beautiful. Jay, thank you so much for your time. I truly appreciate it.
I'm so glad we did this, Valeria. Thank you so much.
Definitely. Thank you.
You're in New York?
I'm in Toronto, but hopefully once all of this is over, we could do this in person.